Thank you very much. So quickly just taking a few seconds and setting up the stage for the final discussion that we have now. The panel discussion on emergence of Indian construction companies as global players. So thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the final panel. May I please invite the session moderator first, Shri Vishal Chauhan, member NHEA, to please join us on the dais. Please join your hands for the session moderator, Shri Vishal Chauhan, member NHEA. Former chairperson of Indian Highways Management Company Limited, he is a dedicated civil servant with a robust background in public policy and infrastructure development, and he has been instrumental in steering administrative reforms and enhancing operational efficiency across the sector. We welcome you, sir. Shri Vishal Chauhan. बहुत स्वागत. एक बार जोरदार तालियां सभी की ओर से. Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming our moderator on the dais. Also inviting our respected panelists also now to join us on the dais. Shri Jagan Narayan Padmanabhan, Senior Director and Global Head of Transport, Logistics and Mobility at CRISIL Limited. A very warm welcome to you, sir. With over 2 decades of experience in infrastructure, advisory and market intelligence, he has been instrumental in shaping strategic insights across India's transport and logistics sectors. Shri Padmanabhan's expertise spans corporate strategy, policy analysis and sustainability, making him a leading voice in discussions on India's evolving infrastructure landscape. We welcome you, sir. Inviting Shri D.R. Agarwal, Chairman and Managing Director of Dinesh Chandra R. Agarwal Infracon Private Limited, DRA Infracon. Zordar taliyan Shri D.R. Agarwal ji ke liye. A leading infrastructure development and construction company under his visionary leadership, DRA Infracon has expanded its footprints across India and neighboring countries, delivering projects in various domains of infrastructure sector. We welcome you, sir. बहुत स्वागत. We also invite Shri Sivanarayan Naik, President Corporate Affairs, GR Infra Projects Limited. We welcome you, sir. Shri Naik. With over 34 years of experience spanning both public and private sectors, he has held pivotal roles in organizations like the National Highways Authority of India and Housing and Urban Development Corporation. His strategic insights have been instrumental in steering GR infra projects, diversification and growth initiatives. Let's join our hands for Shri Nayak. And finally, requesting Dr. Deepak Tripathi, Director Technical at Rights Limited, to please join us. A senior leader with over 3 decades of experience in infrastructure development and engineering management. A specialist in operations, quality systems, and lean project execution, Dr. Tripathi has led large-scale multidisciplinary projects across India and internationally, particularly in South Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. His work spans key areas such as transport, infrastructure planning, quality assurance and technical consultancy. We welcome you, Dr. Deepak. एक बार सभी के लिए जोरदार तालियां. हमारे सभी panelists आ चुके हैं. And with this, may I please invite Shri Mayank Tyagi to welcome each of our eminent speakers who have joined us in this panel discussion. सभी का बहुत-बहुत स्वागत करते हैं. Beginning with the moderator, Shri Vishal Chauhan. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us here. And we look forward to some interesting perspectives that we will hear from your side. A wonderful warm welcome once again. Ladies and gentlemen, let's join hands once again in welcoming our speakers for the session, beginning with the moderator, Shri Vishal Chauhan, member NHEA. Also welcoming Shri Jagan Narayan Padmanabhan. A very warm welcome to you. बहुत-बहुत स्वागत. Shri D.R. Agarwal. Once again, a very warm welcome to you, sir. Shri D.R. Agarwal, Chairman and Managing Director, DRA Infracon. Welcoming Shri Sivanarayan Nayak. A warm welcome to you once again. बहुत-बहुत स्वागत. Before we dive into the deliberations of the session, we are extending a heartfelt welcome to each of our speakers for the session. We also welcome Dr. Deepak Tripathi after this. Once again, a very warm welcome to you, Dr. Deepak Tripathi. Director Technical at Rights Limited. A wonderful welcome. Thank you very much, Mang sir. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, we take the opportunity of requesting the moderator to kindly please begin the proceedings of the session and let us dive into the discussions from here. Ladies and gentlemen, may I please request everyone to kindly please remain silent, please. Thank you.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, we have come to the last session of today's conclave. And first of all, let me congratulate the ministry and especially our additional secretary, Mr. Vinay Kumar and his team for taking this initiative, organizing everybody and having these 4 very stimulating sessions. So our last session is about emerging of Indian construction companies as a global player. And here I am assuming that when we are talking of Indian construction companies, we are also talking about not only the EPC companies or the BOT companies or the toll companies, but also we are talking about the consultants and what are the opportunities available to them as far as to emerge as a global player. I'm not sure, but I think this idea has come from the very top, that high time has come that India should have 100 companies of caliber so that they can take any global challenge, they can take up any assignment globally. So that is the target, that we should have a 100 companies which have the technical know-how, which have the financial strength. And probably this kind of a suggestion has come from high authorities. So I think this discussion is from that line only, that what can be done, what need to be done, and what are the facilitation required from the government side, and what are the steps required by the private sector and public sector both. So we did an exercise some time back that, you know, we have ONGC Videsh, we have rights, we have so many countries, PSUs which have a international wing. So we thought, why not NHEA can also have an international wing? But the catch here is that there is opportunity for us, but we are 100% dependent on the government funding. So since that level of autonomy is not enjoyed by, which is enjoyed by other public sector units who are earning their own money, earning their own profit, and they are free to utilize that profit in investment outside the country also. So of course that issue is there, but there is certainly an scope for the private companies and public sector companies, especially construction companies, to take, you know, steps and you know, take up the work not only in India but outside the country also. We also analyze, you know, what are the areas where our companies can go, and which are the countries we can go. So we road quality index we analyzed, and road quality index of the India was about 4.5. So obviously countries which are making better roads than us, we have lesser scope. That's an assumption, but there are countries which they can learn from us, they can use our infrastructure and companies. So we could zero in on countries in Africa and countries in Asia where Indian companies have lot of scope. But that's an assumption. I'm not saying that in developed countries Indian companies cannot work. India has lot of talent and resources. So that is one area of focus. Second thing is about that, you know, what is required for an Indian company to be globally competitive is manpower. Is the most requirement, and as far as India is concerned, the manpower is we have one of the best manpowers. It is a fact that whether in the technical side or any other side, in most of the countries, Indian people are working, so we don't have shortage of manpower, and they can do it. Even financial strength also, the kind of work we are doing. In European countries, they are making only 100-200 kilometer roads. Probably they don't need it, but still they don't have that much of a leeway also. if we tell them that we are making 5,000 kilometer of road, they really get surprised. So we have the financial leeway, we have the best of the technical manpower. We can really take this initiative. Probably time has come for India also and Indian companies to go abroad. And in other sectors, we see whether it is telecom, for that matter, companies like Airtel or Tata's in manufacturing. So companies who have gone abroad have really done very, very well. So there is no reason why Indian companies, whether it is public sector or private sector, cannot do well internationally. So with these opening remarks, we have four eminent panelists with us. So first, I will request Mr. Nayak from CRISIL that to give us a perspective and make a presentation. From CRISIL, we have
Jagan,
Mr. Jagan.
Yeah.
So Mr. Jagan.
Sure. I'll just take the stage.
Suresh ji, so he is known to me actually.
Okay.
He called me 3 days back.
Yeah. So I have a short presentation of emergence of Indian construction company as global players. The way we looked at this is just not only on the national highway part of it, but also looked at companies which have gone beyond highways in other sectors as well. Yeah, next slide. I think I can use this. So these are the contracting companies. What's the global outreach that they've got? What's the unique selling proposition? Why are they looking at outside of it? What are the advantages and key challenges? I think that is the most important part that we can discuss. And what's the kind of way ahead that we have got? As Sir was mentioning, the Indian companies have certainly gone well and beyond the Indian shores, and I'll talk about a few of them in the subsequent slides. But if you look at the global construction market, it's valued at about close to $15.26 trillion and going at a CAGR growth of 5.28%. So it's a market which is big. It is a market which is growing at a healthy pace compared to the world economic growth. If you were to look at it, this is growing at an economic growth which is higher than the growth of the world. And also in terms of the previous CAGR, if you were to look at it, even then it's something which is substantial. And by 2033, this is expected to hit about close to $26.75 trillion. So, and if you look at from a percentage of the world GDP, if you were to look at it, this is hovering between about 14 to 15%. So it's one of those sectors which is large, significant, and growing. I think that's the key takeaway as far as this particular slide is concerned. Sorry. And the one on the Indian contracting companies and how they are playing a role in this particular one, if you look at it, and we have categorized it multiple sectors on the road, and this is by all means only indicative in its nature. It's not an exhaustive list of all of them. So we have presence in the road, we have presence in the industrial and the energy infrastructure, significant presence in the, as Sir was also mentioning, on the oil and gas side. If you see L&T today, you'd be surprised to know close to 40 to 50% of their revenue is coming from outside of India, in markets like Saudi, where they have really gone and made their presence felt in a significant manner. Then you have on hydropower, then you have other large infrastructure projects in terms of Tata projects and IVRCL being there, metro and railway, airports, buildings, so on and so forth. So where are they actually present today? They are present significantly in the Middle East part of it. They are present in the Africa and Southeast Asia. While we can say that a global presence, but to that extent, our presence today is only in these 4 or 3 or 4 regions of the world. In another way that you can look at it is the rest of the world is still there for us to tap it, but this is where the current Indian companies are present. So what's the unique selling proposition for the Indian contracting companies is that This is international portfolio. Many of them look at it for de-risking themselves from the India market, diversifying the business risk. So concentration is far lower if you're looking at businesses beyond India, like a case in point which I talked about is L&T. And you know, the chances of higher margins are there for global projects. There are caveats to this, and we can talk about it as part of the panel discussion, but generally the margin profile is far better in international geography. Project execution, so ability for us to, over the period of time, having learned from the India market, the project execution is far better, and hence looking at international geography and in the financial stability. So those are the reasons why Indian companies are looking at going in across into some of the international geography. Some of the companies who have gone abroad and what is their order book looking like. If you see, L&T has seen a surge, so 42% of its 65 billion order book is coming in from international geography, which I talked about it earlier on. The annual growth in the international order book is at about 25 to 35%, so which is far high, which is quite high considering the base in which that they are operating. And if they were just confined to the India market, to look at such growth rates will be quite difficult. Similar is probably some of the experiences of the other companies. I'm not going in detail, or there is no particular reason that I picked up any of these particular companies to talk about, but generally to give a picture of how these companies have gone beyond the shores, and now it's making a significant part of their overall portfolio. So moving further into the advantages and the key challenges, if you were to look at it, the ones on the advantages is the de-risking part of it, no particular single market, reduced execution bottlenecks which are there, lesser delays in some of these geographies, like in the Middle East. If you see, quite quick turnaround from project conceptualization to execution is quite efficient in these geographies. Margins are quite predictable. Payment cycles are far more predictable and comes through at a particular point in time. Balanced exposure of their portfolio, balancing between the India and the Middle East one, so on and so forth. So these are some of the key advantages that they've got, but there also remains the challenges. So it's not a bed of roses when we talk about these particular geographies. The shortage of skilled labor, much of this can be seen in geographies like the Africa, even in parts like Middle East. The skilled labor availability is quite a challenge. Local regulations, so there is a cap on foreign workers, so they need to go and source workers of about between 80 to 85% locally. Financial instability, political instability in some of the geographies. And if you look at the supply chain part of it, there's a lot of disruption which is happening. So that's again an area of concern. You bid at assuming certain set of products to be coming in from certain geographies, but then there is supply chain related issues. Then the local currency fluctuations, this is I'm talking more in the Africa market. And some of these markets also have competition from other state-owned entities, specifically from China. And hence they are, not so favorably placed in comparison to the state-owned enterprises. So these are some of the advantages and the challenges. And for the way ahead part of it, for the Indian companies is to look at how they can leverage the new technologies for increased efficiency, looking at adopting low carbon building materials, so that part of it which is there, sustainability and climate resilient solutions, focus on strategic tie-up. I think MOUs with counterparts across the world will be very important, industry-wise collaboration which is there, and also managing sufficient skilled labor workforce across the global locations. These are some of the things that the Indian contracting companies can look at it. So these are the sources which has got referred to. That's all I had in terms of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Padmanabhan, for giving a very overview of the whole scenario and the opportunities, strength and weakness of the Indian construction sector. Now I will request Shri Dinesh Chand Agrawal ji to give his presentation, who is also President of the NHBF.
आज का जो ये पैनल डिस्कशन है, ये जिस सब्जेक्ट के ऊपर है, इसके लिए मैं मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ रोड ट्रांसपोर्ट एंड हाईवेज को विशेष धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ। विशेष धन्यवाद इसलिए, मैं 30 साल से एक्सलेंस अवार्ड के अलावा मिनिस्ट्री के प्रोग्राम में अटेंड करता हूँ, लेकिन ये सब्जेक्ट के ऊपर ये पहली दफ़े मैं ये सेशन देख रहा हूँ। इसकी कीमत ये है कि जैसे एक मिनरल्स है, ये मिनरल्स ज़मीन के अंदर रहती है, वहाँ तक उसकी कोई कीमत नहीं होती है। मिनरल्स को हम ज़मीन से निकालते हैं, इसको यूज करते हैं, इसको प्रोसेस करते हैं, काम में लेते हैं, तभी वो मिनरल्स की कीमत होती है। इस देश के पास हर तरह की कैपेसिटी है, वो कैपेसिटी को बाहर लाने की कोशिश नहीं की गई है। आज यहाँ ऑडियंस में जो सामने बैठे हैं, इस देश के डेवलपमेंट के अंदर उनके बिना डेवलपमेंट नहीं हो सकता है। एंड इतना जो डेवलपमेंट है, उसके ये सभी यहाँ जो सामने बैठे हैं, चाहे वो कंस्ट्रक्शन कंपनी है, चाहे वो इंजीनियर्स हैं, डिपार्टमेंट के इंजीनियर्स है, या कंसल्टिंग फर्म्स है, सबका इसके अंदर रोल्स है। और ये शक्ति को हमें बाहर ले जाने के लिए भारत सरकार ने ये पहली पहल की है, और ये हमारे सबके लिए बहुत ही अच्छी साइन है। हम जानते हैं विदेश के अंदर जो काम होते हैं, मैन पावर सारा इंडिया से जाता था। जैसे जगन नारायण जी ने बताया कि कई कंपनियां काम करती है, लेकिन अभी भारत सरकार की इच्छा ये है कि जो कंपनियां काम करती है, 10 कंपनी, 20 कंपनी, 25 कंपनी, उसकी जगह 500 कंपनी, 1000 कंपनी इंडिया से बाहर जावे, इंडिया की इकोनॉमी आगे बढ़ावे, इंडिया को आगे लावे। तो इसके लिए जो ये कोशिश की गई है, इसके लिए मैं मानता हूँ कि ये हमारे लिए एक अच्छा टाइम है, ये अपॉर्चुनिटी है, और ये अपॉर्चुनिटी का हमें ये फ़ायदा लेना चाहिए। भारत सरकार ने अभी G20 का सेशन हुआ था, और ये G20 के अंदर कैसे इंडियन कंपनी आगे बढ़ सकती है और इंडिया को बाहर जाने के दरवाजे खोल दिए थे। उसके अंदर हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी जी एंड हमारे गडकरी साहब, उनका बड़ा रोल है। सारी दुनिया के देशों के साथ डिस्कस करके इंडिया की कैपेसिटी के बारे में उन्होंने बात किया, और इसी का ही आज यह जो सेशन है, ये उसी का ही रिजल्ट है। और मैं मानता हूँ कि जो हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर का जो विज़न है विकसित भारत का 2047 का, उसको पूरा करने के लिए हमें जो यहाँ बैठी है कंस्ट्रक्शन कंपनी, इंजीनियर्स एंड कंसल्टिंग फर्म्स, हमें सबको साथ मिलके बाहर जाके ये देश का जो विकसित भारत का सपना है उसको पूरा करना चाहिए। हमें जो 5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी है, वो 5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी के 5 ट्रिलियन का हमारी इकोनॉमी 3rd इकोनॉमी के अंदर जाने का हमारा जो सपना है वो पूरा करना चाहिए। मैं आपको बताता हूँ इंडियन फर्म्स की क्या कैपेसिटी है। मैं नाम नहीं दे सकता, लेकिन यूरोपियन कंपनी ने आके इंडिया के अंदर कुछ फर्म को एक्वायर किया है। ये बहुत अच्छी बात है, खुशी की बात है, इंडियन फर्म्स आगे बढ़ रही है। लेकिन मैं उसके अंदर आगे ये बता रहा हूँ, ये फर्म्स के अंदर 95% इंडियन इंजीनियर्स है, 5% बाहर के हैं। एंड दुनिया के अच्छे अच्छे प्रोजेक्ट के ड्राइंग वही कंपनी में बनते हैं। यूरोपियन कंपनी का वो लगता है नाम, एंड ये दुनिया के अंदर यही कंपनी के ड्राइंग काम में आते हैं। तो मेरा ये कहना है कि इंडिया की ये कैपेसिटी है और ये कैपेसिटी को हमें बाहर लाना चाहिए और इसके अंदर आगे बढ़ना चाहिए। यहाँ मेरे सामने काफ़ी कंस्ट्रक्शन कंपनी बैठी है। मैं मानता हूँ कि ये देखते हुए हर एक सोचेगा कि हमें बाहर जाना है और बाहर जाना चाहिए। तो बाहर जाने के लिए मैं दो बात हर कंपनी को कहना चाहता हूँ। बाहर जाने के लिए हमें ये देखना चाहिए कि हमारा फाउंडेशन मजबूत होकर हम बाहर जाएं। सबसे पहले हर कंपनी को फेमा के रूल समझने होंगे, एंड फेमा के रूल समझ के ही आगे बढ़ना है, फेमा के रूल समझ के ही बाहर जाना है। उसको पूरा स्टडी करके आगे जाना चाहिए। इससे हमें काफ़ी फ़ायदा होगा, कोई फ्यूचर के अंदर प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगा। हम जिस कंट्री में जा रहे हैं वो कंट्री के जो रेगुलेशन है उसको हमें पहले स्टडी करना है। उनके रेगुलेशन हमें पहले समझना चाहिए, और रेगुलेशन हम समझेंगे तो बाद में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं आता है। विदेश के अंदर जब हम जाते हैं, हर कंपनी को अपना एक क्वालिटी एश्योरेंस प्रोग्राम बनाना चाहिए, एंड क्वालिटी एश्योरेंस प्रोग्राम बनाकर ही आगे बढ़ना चाहिए, उसके अंदर बाहर जाना चाहिए, ताकि आपको सफलता ज़्यादा मिलेगी। जब आप बाहर जाते हैं, हर कंट्री का HSE प्रोग्राम होता है, हेल्थ सेफ्टी एंड एनवायरनमेंट। बाहर के अंदर जब हम काम करते हैं तो ये भी, इसका भी हमें रेगुलेशन को फॉलो करना बहुत ज़रूरी होता है, और ये भी हमें देखना है। एंड सबसे ज़रूरी ये है टाइमली डिलीवरी। जब हम बाहर कम काम करते हैं और बाहर के काम लेने हैं, तो हमें किसी भी चीज़ का, जो भी उनके प्रोजेक्ट से टाइमली हमें डिलीवरी करना चाहिए, टाइम बाउंड प्रोग्राम से उनके प्रोजेक्ट्स करने चाहिए। चौहान साहब ने कहा अभी कि ये ऊपर से बताया गया है कि इंडिया की कंपनी, कंस्ट्रक्शन कंपनी ग्लोबली जाएगा। तो मैं उनके थ्रू दो तीन चीज़ें रिक्वेस्ट भी करना चाहता हूँ। जब यहाँ से कंपनी बाहर जाती है तो गवर्नमेंट को भी हमें कुछ बातों में सपोर्ट करना होगा। जब हम बाहर शुरुआत करते हैं, सबसे पहले हमें रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया का अप्रूवल लेना चाहिए। हम लेते हैं और लेना चाहिए, और उसके लिए रिजर्व बैंक को, कंपनी को जब बाहर जाती है तो उसके लिए उसकी अप्रूवल का एक तरीका प्रॉपरली सबको बताना चाहिए, पब्लिश करना चाहिए, ताकि ये राइट तरीका मालूम होने से रिजर्व बैंक की अप्रूवल से जब हम बाहर जाते हैं तो बाद में हमें कोई किसी तरह का दिक्कत नहीं आता है। सबसे ज़रूरी ये है बैंकिंग फैसिलिटी। अगर हम आज से शुरुआत करेंगे, हमको बाहर की कंट्री की बैंकें सपोर्ट नहीं करेगी। तो जब हम बाहर जाते हैं तो हमारी बैंकों को जो भी है वो एक सपोर्ट का एक फॉर्मूला बनाना चाहिए कि इंडिया से कंस्ट्रक्शन कंपनी जब बाहर जाएगी तो उनको जो भी बैंकिंग सपोर्ट, जैसे सिक्योरिटी चाहिए, सिक्योरिटी डिपॉजिट देना पड़ता है, या और तरह की कई तरह की सिक्योरिटियाँ लगती है, तो पहले दिन से वो बाहर की बैंकें, बाहर की कंट्री की बैंकें नहीं देती है। तो मीनवाइल जब शुरुआत करने के लिए भारत सरकार को एक बैंकों के साथ बैठ के ये एक पॉलिसी बनाना चाहिए, और ये पॉलिसी बनाने से हमारी कंपनियाँ ज़्यादा बाहर जा सकेगी, देश का नाम ज़्यादा रोशन कर सकेगी। पहले हम लोग जब बाहर जाते थे, बाहर की मशीनरियाँ यूज करते थे। आज इंडिया के अंदर बढ़िया से बढ़िया मशीनरी हर सेक्टर की मैन्युफैक्चर होती है। ये मशीनरी एक दफ़े ले जाना भी पड़ता है, वापस भी लाना पड़ता है, तो इसके लिए जो भी है वो गवर्नमेंट को सपोर्ट वगैरह करना चाहिए। मैं मानता हूँ हमारे पास ये कैपेसिटी है, और जैसे हमारी मिनरल्स बाहर आती है उसी तरह इंडियन कंस्ट्रक्शन कंपनी को ज़रूर से सरकार सपोर्ट करेगी, और हम भी सरकार का जो सपना है विकसित भारत का वो हम पूरा करेंगे। देश को थर्ड इकोनॉमिक तरफ जल्दी आगे ले जाएंगे, इंडिया का नाम रोशन करेंगे।
धन्यवाद दिनेश चंद जी, आपने बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण सुझाव दिए हैं और निश्चित रूप से आपके दिए हुए सुझाव पे कार्रवाई की जाएगी। अब मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा श्री शिव नारायण नायक जी से, जो जीआर इंफ्रा प्रोजेक्ट से हैं, प्रेसिडेंट कॉर्पोरेट अफेयर्स, अपने विचार रखें।
Good afternoon. Emergence of Indian construction companies as global players. This is, I believe, it is a topic of much relevance today because of three factors. One is that the Indian construction companies over a period of time has built up its capacity as well as competency. The second point, I would like to reiterate that there is a bit of domestic compulsion as well. Reason being, now many of the companies which is at the higher level and many of the new entrants, there are a lot of differences and capabilities which need to be directed at a right direction. And third thing, of course, as Vishalji has told, the government is providing a helping hand. That is very important for any of the things. Slides, please. Yeah. Coming to the construction companies, Indian construction sector is certainly expanding its global footprint, no doubt about that. And in fact, many of the companies from many years has been doing it. And the key sectors what is being followed are roads, power, transmission, railways, water, marine sector, and of course hydrocarbons and all. The focus countries basically is African countries, Middle East countries, South Asia and South African nations. Coming to the construction companies which are working globally, I have just provided a glimpse of it. What are the companies and what are the areas or countries they are operating on. Coming forward with L&T, Afcons, Aircon International, then Tata Projects, NCC, Kalpataru, KEC. They are doing a big job, and in fact, when we are talking about international projects, they are holding a good portfolio, and what we are talking about a good portfolio is also a contribution to the good EBITDA and good profitability. Now, when we are going ahead for the projects abroad, what are the kind of bidding it is happening? Basically, it is 4 categories I can put into. One is that international competitive bidding, then there is limited competitive bidding, and there are direct awards. Of course, these all 3 are mostly in EPC category. And the other category, it is not very prevalent today, but yes, it is gaining momentum. And some of the projects has been executed by some of the companies here. Coming to the PPP projects by Indian companies, Sterlite Power has gone to Brazil for some transmission projects. L&T and KEC has been doing some African projects, and Aircon, of course, on railways. And when we are talking about EPC or maybe a item rate contract, the most preferred one is FIDIC, and it is understood well by the whole of the world, and it is the most preferred one. There is a bit of derivative when it comes to the new engineering contract, which basically selectively done in Africa, UK, Ghana, Botswana, Kenya, and South African countries. Yes, the focus is on collaboration, clarity, and flexibility. As far as FDIC is concerned, it is a regulated one with some kind of special conditions and general conditions. New engineering contract incorporates some of the flexibility into it so that it is better suited for both the client as well as the contractor. The other one, what is basically accepted is the bespoke contracts, that is a customized contracts for any of the client, which is basically project specifications oriented. It is one-sided terms favoring the client, and of course it is governed by the local English laws, limited dispute resolution flexibility, and it comes with a high risk, tight deadlines, and security heavy permits. I think Government of India is doing its bit, but probably as Vishalji told, that is not as focused as it should be. There are Indian missions abroad which is assisting in networking and grievance redressal. Ministry of Commerce has undertaken market access initiative schemes, which is helping in kind of this seminars or some kind of showcases, something like that. Exim Bank is doing its bit with lines of credit, and Asian Development and Economic Assistance Scheme, that is basically extended for concessional credit for Africa and South Asian countries, which is basically strategic alliance with India or kind of sub-diplomacy. Yeah, funding agency has a role, and as far as India is concerned, Exim Bank of India is doing its bit, providing project finances and line of credits. World Bank, IBRD, of course, it is global multilateral agencies which is involved in large-scale infrastructure financing. African Development Bank, it is Africa-specific, and in fact, they are very, very receptive as far as Indian contractors are concerned. ADB and New Development Bank are also doing their bit as far as infrastructure development else in the world. Coming to the problems by the Indian construction companies, I have just written some of it. There are many others, but the primary factors are delayed payments and arbitration challenges. This is because many of the developing companies, they don't have the funds, or might be there are certain regulations which they are not able to comply it properly, delaying the payments and all. Basically, this is the funds flow has to be done from the agencies. Then political and regulatory instability is everywhere. It has to be assessed properly and studied so that it does not drag us down at the time of execution. Lack of local skilled labor and logistics, yes, it is everywhere. And as far as taking our own labor force to others, they have their own rules and regulations. Some countries allow freely, some countries they have their own restrictions, okay, 1:3:4. If you are bringing one person, you have to employ some local persons over there. Contract enforcement, of course, it goes to the dispute resolution as well as the arbitration as well. And the major challenge of one of the factor is the currency volatility of that particular country where we are working. Even though it is dollar denominated in most cases, currency volatility plays a big role. As far as risks are concerned, there are political risks, whether it is a war, whether it is a coup, change in law, and it is very prevalent in African countries particularly. Exchange rate risk, what we are referring to is this is the US dollar as far as India and that particular country is concerned. Legal disputes and local judiciary contents are there, so that is one of the area probably we have to be very careful. Of course, there are execution risks and operational risks. With regard to the payment and repatriation issues, local forex laws govern repatriation. That is one of the very important thing. If I am investing money, whether it is on PPP or whether it is an EPC contract, I need to get back the money. So that repatriation problems, it is all depend on the host country where we are trying to execute a contract. In some of the cases, it has been observed that it is milestone-based payments with some kind of, back-off. But even then, there are some issues in payments and subsequent repatriation. Of course, African nations permit post-tax repatriation, and delays in disbursement is common in many cases. Coming to the taxation issue, it is probably one of the biggest problem as far as the projects abroad are concerned. When there is no DTEA, please understand, I am making profit. Some of the profit we are paying as a tax over there. And if DTEA is not, it is the double taxation avoidance agreement. If it is not there, I have to pay the similar tax here for all the remittances and profits I am making. So, double taxation DTEA treaty is must whenever we are considering a project outside. Withholding tax, it is basically described in the DTEA itself, but getting the credit for withholding tax payments, that is a big challenge. So probably it is one of the area the government of India has to see how best we can accommodate that, all those things. Then VAT and GST on local supplies and export of services. These are basically prevalent at home. How we are dealing with that, whether it is a zero tax bracket as far as GST applicability is concerned, and whether there is a refund mechanism available. And of course, there are permanent establishment issues if some kind of projects or consultants or some other issues which has a longevity issues. I mean, if suppose it is 180 days, then there is certain other things it is applicable in that particular country. Other taxation issues is one of the major issue is the transfer pricing. Whenever we are doing business, usually we have our subsidiaries here and abroad as well. So, when I am executing a project, we have to send many materials, persons, consultancy. I mean, what is overall called, it is the project export. It has to be at arm's length. If it is not maintained properly, probably there is a problem that the tax authority will always question. Risk mitigation measures include time-bound deployments, transfer pricing documentation, that is really important. Local tax councils has to be consultant, and of course this double taxation agreement has to be there for some kind of respite. Okay. Project execution comes with certain kind of mechanization. Equipments like tunnel boring machines, piling rigs, cranes, concrete plants, specialized road machinery are moved across countries based on the project needs. So what is that it is required to be observed? So as far as import of overseas projects are concerned, it is export from India, equipment temporarily exported under bond or duty drawback scheme. Then ATA carnet or custom bond, that is for temporary import into the foreign country, that is comes without imposing any kind of cess or levy, requires proper declaration and customs clearance. In some cases, probably when we are completing the project, we need to re-import the machinery what it has been earlier sent to that particular country. So it also requires some kind of due diligence on customs as well as proper documentation.
But we work together.
The best practice as far as this import, export and re-import is concerned, probably maintain accurate documentation, use professional customs agents, avail insurance for transit and operation, monitor depreciation for customs and tax valuation. This is important. What I believe is that bidding style and strategies. If we take various aspects, pricing, Indian companies are a bit competitive, often in mid-range. Foreign competitors are primarily Chinese, which bid very aggressively Europeans are higher quality focused. As far as financing support is there, it is for the private developer or private contractor, they have to manage their own finances. Whereas for Chinese, that is what is the competition perspective I am talking about, Chinese always bundle their execution program. That is the execution plus financing. Europeans, of course, they have their export credit agencies to support them. Execution time it has been observed basically that execution time is reasonable, but delays can occur due to resource constraints. That is one of the major things, and whether it is a man, whether it is material, or maybe it is money. Thing is that whether the resources are properly planned or not. In this case, the major competition comes from Turks and Chinese. They are first mobilizers, they have their funding tie-up, and they have their plan in place for everything. Risk appetite concerned, Indians are always medium, not low, not high, but yes, Chinese Turks are very, very high and they are competitive. Local partnership is required, so basically for Indian context, it is subcontracting to others, particularly local contractors in that particular country. Chinese often they bring their own labor, which helps them to execute very, very speedily. Tech and design, of course, we have developed that, but European and Japanese are way ahead. Now coming to that, what is our strengths? We should strengthen so that we have capitalize on that. One is that cost efficient execution. India is known for that. Familiarity with developing country bureaucracy. We are a democracy and we deal with bureaucracy everywhere. And probably it is one of the area where it helps us to deal with the bureaucracy in the other countries as well as the politicians. Then flexibility in contract structure. Yes, our contract structure is very, very flexible and very less rigid than the Western contracts. Many companies these days have a growing equipment base just to have an accelerated execution program. And many of the companies have built up their equipment bank. And of course, political push is coming off. Hopefully that will help to take it ahead. Now comes the disadvantage we must keep in mind. Lack of strong EPC plus financing combo. That is where probably the government has to come off and provide some kind of, it is not the Exim Bank alone can do it, not the banks can do it. Probably there has to be some kind of policy issues has to come up, how the Indian construction companies can be incubated outside with some kind of policy support. Then limited global track record in power and rail compared to Koreans or Japanese. Limited local presence for JV networks. Joint venture is a very important thing once we are going ahead for the projects outside. So probably we are not very conversant with all the risks. It is there. So it is always advisable for us to go for a joint venture. Then of course technical and design lag is there, language and cultural gaps are there. Concluding my presentation here, I am pretty sure that Indian EPCs are credible global players. That is because of probably our culture, our dealings with the outside world, and of course our own strength. So it has made a space outside whenever you go and to a foreign country, and in comparison to any other, India has more credibility than many other countries like Japan or maybe Turkey. We have a competitive pricing and engineering capabilities backed by Government of India support and multilaterals, but we need to focus on risk mitigation, legal strategy and partnerships, which are very, very essential. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Nayak, for giving a very comprehensive presentation. Now I will request Dr. Deepak Tripathi, Director Rights, to give his practical experience of implementing projects internationally.
So I am the last one to speak. Vishal ji has given a very right context. Actually, I was wondering why I've been invited here, because the day before I got a call to speak on this topic. Because RITES is not a construction company. We say we are a consultants, we are not constructors. But what Vishal ji has rightly mentioned, that there has to be a perspective, a view from consultant side also. And that view is from the other side of it, because the consultants are always complementing the constructors. So that is the thing how it started. RITES started in 1974. It was the first public sector undertaking under Ministry of Railways. And it started with one project. It was a mega project, international project, where the government of India, like Vishalji has mentioned, how can NHEA become a global company, go outside the. So that was the challenge Indian Railway also facing. So that was the reason RITES was created. But when a need came that whether you can be a consultant or a constructor. So the next year, IRCON was born. So actually, IRCON was born out of RITES. And today, even date, we under the ministry, we work as a complementing each other. And now RVNL is another construction company under Ministry of Railways. So RITES has a very clear role. It is playing a role of a consultant, whereas the IRCON and the RVNL, these companies are playing the role of constructors. So that complementary role we have, and that's a beauty of it, because once we have both on one side, it's a win-win situation. And when Vishalji has been speaking about how NHEA can, there's a visionary thing what they are thinking to grow global. RITES is always there with them. RITES has a very long outstanding relationship with Ministry of Road Transport Highways. It has been working for a very long with NHEA. We have an MOU with NHEA. Apart from that, there is another organization called NHLML. So RITES also have a ropeway division where we are working with that company. So we have a very, very long-standing and very beautiful relationship with the ministry and the departments they have. And we love to be there with them if there is any thought of going global. So we can be part of that. Here, as our other panelists have explained to you various nitty-gritties about how to do international business as a construction company, what are the challenges, what should be the strategy. There is a talk also going on, like we say, make in India, make for the world, how we construct for the world. So that is another approach which we now talk about. So I am giving you a different perspective. I am not speaking here. Maybe I can take care of that while we have question and answer session. But then here, what has been talked about here by the other panelists, I am just trying to give you a glimpse of what RITES has done, and what RITES is and what has been doing in international business. So as I mentioned to you, we started 50 years back. We completed our 50 years last year. And starting from a mere railway infrastructure consultancy company, we have grown into a multi-sectoral infrastructure consultancy where railway is only part of it. We are into metros, highways, ports, airports, various sectors. And in 2018, we got listed, and we got the Navratna status last year while we are completing our 50 years. We have now grown into a top 500 listed companies with market cap of, it has reached 20,000 crore very recently. As far as our projects are concerned, even on date, we have 600 plus projects. And we have as part of our global operations, we have offices in 8 countries, and we have a subsidiary in Africa, in Botswana, named as Rights Africa Limited. And apart from that, we are the export arm of Indian Railways. So that is one of the business we have. So right from designing to customization to taking clients' requirements to various countries, we do exports of rolling stock. Now we have expanded there also, not only from the Indian Railways, but also from the private sector and other public sectors. We had tied up with them for exports business. As I mentioned to you, as far as the infrastructure domain is concerned, we play a role of a consultant, where we are into rail infra, we are into road and highways, and ropeways, airports, metros, port and waterways, buildings and MLPs, sustainability, etc. So they are vertical domains now, and we assume that we are the only public sector company which has so many domains in it. No other PSU working as a consultant has it. As far as I mentioned to you, we have operated in 55 plus countries. So more than 250 projects we have done so far, ranging from regions which come from Africa, Asia, Americas, and Middle East. So it's an experience of 55 years multiplied by 15 countries and 250 projects. We have a subsidiary in Africa based out of Botswana. From there we take care of our African continent operations, offering consultants in railways, roads, bridges, waterways, resources, all these domains. We are undertaking few projects in Africa, including Botswana, and also 21 live bids are there with us from that region. So as far as if you just to can you back it? We are here. So this is a matrix of what all we have done, and currently some of the key major projects which we have undertaken in different countries in different sectors. Apart from this, we have 55 EOIs live in 20 countries, so we are very aggressive bidders. And as far as our strategy is concerned, as has been mentioned here earlier, we were dependent on the GOI funded projects, LOC projects. Of late, you know that the GOIC funding is not coming into the railway sectors and infra sectors. So now we have three-pronged approach. Apart from G2G projects, we are also now doing direct marketing and bidding in various international tenders with as a collaborating with industry, international partners and local partners also. We have, as you just 3 days back, we signed an MOU with DP World. Honorable Minister of Commerce was there in Mumbai when he signed that MOU. We have signed recently MOU also with AD Port, with Etihad Rail, and as it was being mentioned about the G20, one of the major initiative which came out of G20 was that IMEC corridor, India Middle East European Economic Corridor. RIGHTS is part of that also, and we are now a consultant to Ministry of Shipping, Port and Waterways. where we are undertaking projects for them. And as part of that, now we have tied up with these companies. So again, GO2G, we are aggressively pursuing MOUs and signing one-to-one engagements with the various national bodies, international bodies. And we are bidding directly in contracts along with the international collaborators as part of consortium, and also with local partners. So that is the approach we follow. So just a distribution of our expansion. So we also have a policy of having local associates. So we are trying to have as many associates in as many regions and continents. Main target regions have been the African continent, Middle East, Asia Pacific, and the Latin America. So these have been our key target regions. So some of the key projects of highway which are currently we are undergoing in Latin America, Guyana, and in Bangladesh, in Botswana. So these are the current undergoing projects. As I mentioned to you, we have three-pronged approach to get business. And as you all understand, we unlike the other global competitors, the companies from China and the European world and the Americans, which have local presence, we have that challenge of not having a local presence. So we have to mostly either depend on the local partners or with the other global companies who have regional presence. So that is one of the requirement which is important, not only to win the bid, but also to execute the project. So that is one thing. So we have a very strong policy of having local associates, long-term partners in each region in many of the countries. So this is all about rights, and then about the awards and acquisition we got. Some of are related to international projects and exports also. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Deepak Tripathi, for showing us the way how to move forward. I think we have a session, final session, to be chaired by Honorable Minister, sir, by 5:30 or so. So very quickly we can take 2-3 quick questions from the participants.
So the last panelist gives you an obvious question. When so much is being done by rights, Ministry of Road Transport would like to take a plunge for having one devoted for the road sector as such, because rights is known for railways. Yes, they are doing some work for the road as well. When an extra mile, when the government has to travel, primarily when we initially want the consultancy to be of good quality, why not a similar consultative machinery sponsored by the government to begin with? NHEA International is another thought which obviously comes to your mind, that when there is a basic infrastructure given by the government for the purpose of for encouraging our contractor community to come forward with more and more bidding of the international projects.
Yes, it's a good suggestion, and I think the time has come to think on these lines and move ahead. Maybe if you want to say something.
So we are always there. So because we are not competing, we are collaborating. So once we are the beauty of rights being on the consultant side, we can join head with any agency who is into construction. Apart from NHEA is there, the private sector is there. So we are always there, and we are with them. We are with them. So as has been rightly mentioned, like Chinese, but they come with a package. So the package includes somebody has to do the design part, somebody has to do the safety audit part, somebody has to do the PMC part. There has to be on agency which will do the construction part, and we need a financer. So this type of ecosystem is actually required, whether it is export of projects, whether it is export of services, or it is export of the rolling stock or any product. This is one of the lacking where we need to have a institutional kind of setup. So even same thing problem we face in exports also, because our competitors, whether Chinese come with the sovereign support, they come with sovereign support, both in terms of lobbying, in terms of finances, everything, because you as a standalone company cannot beat them. So unless we have a ecosystem where the financer, the consultant, and the construction body, they join hands with under the one umbrella of the government of India. That is a requirement for at least for the mega project, the big ticket projects. So we face those. We have been approaching, because we day in out we are working so many countries. We have been working with Exim Bank, Ministry of Finance, NHEA, Ministry of Commerce. We have a lot of, because every project gives us a lot of learnings as to, there was even talk of going on a barter system where, say, countries like Africa, where they have a lot of minerals. So we have few projects where we are tying up with the Ministry of Commerce and also NHEA, and some of the Indian public sectors who actually need those ores and the minerals. So whether they can be a barter system. Like countries like Angola, they have a lot of oil. So why we export our projects or goods or services, we import oil from them. So that is one of the mechanism is route available. So there is certainly a lack of financing mechanism in the country because we are totally dependent on Exim Bank and ECGC support. Beyond that, long-term financing, soft loan financing like Chinese and Americans and Europeans are able to give, that is one of the big drawback we have. So we have to tackle that. So, but as a ministry like companies like NHEA, Ministry of Road Transport, they come into play. So I think these problems can also be solved.
You want?
Maybe one last question and then we conclude.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. I am RP Singh, Aro Nagpur. Sir, keeping in with the rights expertise in the field, they are working in 55 plus countries and executed so many of the projects successfully. So, as rightly said, that collaboration is needed, and along with we can, as NHEI, we can partner with them and bring the construction agencies which are now grown so big, so that we can negotiate with the different countries and try to get the big projects done by our own companies. So that would be a very good initiative if we take up that. Thank you, sir.
And I think consultancy is a low-hanging fruit, you know, it doesn't require much of the finances, and, you know, we have one of the best talents in the country with NHEA ecosystem. I'm not talking about only NHEI, but NHEI ecosystem that includes contractors, concessionaires, and the consultants who are working with us. So if we make an entry and get an exposure with consultancy projects, and then of course go into the construction and contracts, etc., I think probably time has come when India is going to be 5 trillion economy in another 3-4 years. Probably a time has come for these initiatives also.
डीआर अग्रवाल जी, आप भी अगर कुछ इसमें सुझाव देना चाहेंगे तो
आपने ये
जी, थैंक यू. So I think we can wind up the session and be ready for the next session. Thank you very much, all the participants.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. A big round of applause for the wonderful perspectives. Those were shared by our eminent speakers who joined us in this final panel discussion. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts, views, and ideas with all of us, and also for giving us a view of the path forward as we feel together. Ladies and gentlemen, we are preparing for the session wherein we have the National Highways Excellence Award ceremony, which is going to begin soon, and joined by the Honorable Minister, Shri Nitin Gadkari ji. We have a little break, a rejuvenating tea break now. We request everyone to be back in 15-20 minutes because the Honorable Minister is about to arrive shortly, and as we have been informed that he's on his way and will be here shortly. Requesting everyone to quickly please be back in 15 minutes, please. So let us disperse for a quick, refreshing tea break and be back for the much awaited National Highway